Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we are in the third bay where we're working on the Corvette yet again. If you guys saw the previous week's video about the wiring and how that stuff got fried, well, I also kind of noticed an exhaust leak. Been hearing it. I thought the car was running fine. It's temperamental at best. It's like sometimes it'll idle just fine. Sometimes it'll idle horribly, and whenever you give it any gas, it doesn't want to go. It's like you have to like really give it gas, and then it wants to go. So it's just kind of a weird thing. But when we were working on that wiring, taking the exhaust apart, I actually noticed some soot kind of around where the V-band is. So let's go down under the car and we'll show you what we're talking about. All right guys, so as you can see, here is the V-band, kind of like I was saying. This is where I'm concerned where that exhaust leak might be happening. You know, I have seen a little bit of soot around, you know, this spot right here, basically where the flange kind of meets. There's a little break there. I've noticed some there. You guys might be able to see some right there, kind of where the bolt attachment is. So, you know, my concern is that this flange, you know, for the header side of it, it's just loose and moving around. And so yeah, so what we're gonna do is go ahead and fire the car up and see if this is leaking, and if it is, see how bad it is. Alright guys, I can officially confirm there is definitely an exhaust leak, especially where those V-bands, kind of like I said earlier, where those V-bands kind of come together, but there's that little gap. So there's definitely 3 exhaust leaks per manifold, and so unfortunately that means we're going to be taking the car apart yet again, and we're going to be welding on a set of V-band clamps. Now guys, this is the other side of the Vibrant Performance V-band. And as you guys can see, there is a machined ring in here. I'm going to try to show that on the camera. There is a ring on the other side, but kind of like I said, I don't know what brand those V-bands are that are on those headers. And so they fit, but they're very loose. And I was kind of, you know, hoping that just using one aftermarket company with another, they'd be compatible. But honestly, guys, they're not. And so yeah, we're gonna have to bust out the MIG welder, the TriMix gas, which is over there. That's that helium, argon, CO2 mix, and go ahead and start welding. And what sucks is I actually just used the welder for a different project, so we're gonna have to swap everything back to the exhaust stuff. And yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, cut the ends of those headers off and weld this on. We're probably gonna cut, I don't know, 1/2 inch maybe off of here, and we'll make sure that that's a very straight cut. When we do cut the headers, we'll make sure that's a very straight cut as well, and then just use that, weld this to that, and then weld that combination to the end of those headers. So alright guys, you'll see that I did get the passenger side head out, and as I suspected, I was correct. We have a bunch of soot coming in through the V-band that was existing on this exhaust pipe over here. Obviously it wasn't sealing well, and you guys can see almost 3/4 of the way around the V-band there is, it was loose on the bottom. Obviously this is all soot. So it's almost like 3/4 of this V-band you know, was leaking. So as you can see, I just wiped a bunch off with my finger. But yeah, so I'm glad we pulled that off. Now we've got room to cut this off, and we can go ahead and get started on the V-band swap. Alright guys, you can see the header clamps from my welding table. I basically wanted something really solid that I could cut against, and as you guys can see, we do have our piece of tape kind of marking off where we want to cut. And yeah, so basically I wanted to have plenty of room if I needed to have an adapter piece to go between this flange and the flange on the header. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut, I may end up moving this down a little bit, but like I said, I kind of want to make sure that I've got enough room to weld a piece of that straight pipe to here, and then we can weld that to the header itself. So yeah, let's go ahead and start cutting on this weld and see how it goes. Alright guys, you can see I have the new vibrant flange on there, well, that's kind of a bit of a psych. I really just wanted to cut this off and see how well this was going to cut. And so I cut it kind of short, like I said. I basically cut it on the flange of where the old V-band was welded against the new V-band. And if you look, there is a diameter difference. So the old V-band is actually smaller outside diameter than the new one. So like I said, that first cut was kind of a test. And I am going to cut this back because, like I said, I do want to make sure that this has plenty of material for us to adjust how far this is going to have to go. I know if I just put this on there and put it back on the car, it's not going to fit anywhere near it. So go ahead, cut off a little bit more material. We know that the pipe is straight and that this V-band will fit onto it. So let's go ahead, trim the rest of this off, and go ahead and get a straight piece cut. And I did want to show you the fitment of us versus the other guy. Look at that gap right there. This thing was fitted so poorly. I don't know if the previous guy welded this or he had a shop do it, but just cutting off their V-band and looking at how much gap there is between the ring, like that's got to be almost an 1/8 inch gap on this side. This side is tighter, but yeah, they did a horrible job fitting this thing, whoever welded this previously. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna have to grind this off, and let's show you a new tool that we picked up for that. So I actually picked up this 90-degree die grinder a couple months ago from Milwaukee, and I did pick up a bag of these blue roll lock discs, and I'm gonna use this to clean up the surface of the header because we really can't weld stainless steel to, you know, a real dirty surface. All right guys, the die grinder cleaned up the edge really well. We got all of the whatever coating on here off, and I did bevel the edge as well. Use the angle grinder for that, and just so when we put the two pipes up together, it'll weld very cleanly. So yeah, so let's go ahead, get the header back installed in the car, and then we can start figuring out how long our little intermediate pipe is going to be between the V-band and the header itself. All right guys, we did get the header bolted back in. Everything was good to go. Oh, I did want to say we did put the gasket back in place because, even though that only is like a 1/16 of an inch, a 1/16 of an inch up there could definitely throw everything off down here. So make sure if you're doing like header mock-up, make sure you use the gasket. And then up here with the wiring issues that we had in the previous video, everything is good to go. The wiring is sitting nowhere near the header where it was previously. And the other thing I wanted to say, I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but there are battery cables up in there that I'm pointing to. Those fit so much more better that the header literally slipped right in and went right up. With the previous routing of those cables, I was actually having to kind of, fight getting this header in past the battery cables, and now with that 45-degree angle in them, that totally resolved any issues we had with this header and the wiring. And back here on the headers and the V-band, you guys could see that there is a little bit of a smaller gap up top than the bottom. So what we can do is go ahead and cut that straight piece. I'll just pull some rough measurements from the end of this pipe to the end of the V-band, but then don't forget there's a little bit of lip here on the V-band, and we'll have to go ahead and add that 1/16 of an inch to our measurement so that we're good. All right guys, we're using the same welding settings as the last time we did this, but we did that with the cat back, not the header itself. So it's CO2, TriMix, helium, and argon, and 30 thou on the wire, and it's 18 gauge. So you guys will notice that I already half welded on the V-band as well as that little in-between piece that we made. And I did that off camera just because I was struggling underneath the car, just being honest. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish welding this out. I gotta do, probably 2/3 rest of the weld to the intermediate piece, and then I've only tacked the V-band, so I gotta fully weld that as well. So we'll be here a little while. I've gotten the passenger side header done. Not my best welds, not my worst welds, kind of in the middle. And I'm glad I used my stainless brush because I totally missed a section of the V-band. I thought I had got it welded and then was looking at it, hit it with a stainless brush, and I totally missed a section. So good thing to always go over your welds, check them. I did see that spot that I missed, as well as a couple spots that had holes through it. So I filled those in. These welds are pretty ugly, so actually I'm gonna hit this with the angle grinder and the roll lock that we got, so just to help smooth them out a little bit and basically touch them up if we've missed any more sections. But yeah, this is just the idea I wanted to get you guys for this V-band modification, V-band adding, and hopefully this resolves the leaks that we had. So yeah, I'm gonna get this ground down. We'll do the driver's side and we'll pick this up when we are complete. All right, guys, we have finally gotten the car back together. If you could see over here on the driver's side, we have all the coil packs, everything hooked up. Same thing over on the passenger side. Spark plugs, coil packs, spark plug wires, all that good stuff is in there. And we have the exhaust finished as well, so let's show you that right now. All right, guys, you can see where we ground down the paint. We also grounded down the welds because I may be getting these coated later. Just not sure at this point. But yeah, we have the driver's side. We also have the passenger side all done. As for the V-bands, they are fully installed and welded. Having both the male and female part, both being from Vibrant, they are way tighter than the other. I don't know what brand was on the header itself, but we cut those off as you guys saw. One more quick update. I did replace the driver's side exhaust manifold gasket. It did look like it may have been leaking a little bit, so that is one difference. So if we do have one side leaking, it could potentially be the passenger side. Let's go ahead, fire it up, and see how it does. Sounds better. For first startup, that actually went pretty well. It fired up right away. It seemed like some of the exhaust leak was gone. There still might be a little bit there. Now, I will say this. I think the hesitation is gone, or at least it's a lot less than it was. Because if I would give it any throttle, like, the tip in on the throttle body, it almost seemed like there was such a bad exhaust leak that, the O2s went crazy and it was trying to adjust for it. But now, I could give it partial throttle and it wasn't doing that hesitation, that it's not making power. This seemed a lot quicker. Let's go ahead, fire it up again. Yeah, let's go ahead and give it partial throttle. Alright guys, I think with that hesitation being like 99% gone, I think we may have solved the problem here. Hopefully, if I don't sound so confident, that is because I am not 100% sure we've resolved this problem. And that is just due to the fact that the header gaskets, one's new, one's old. I don't know if the new gasket might be, have less leaks than the other side. Both gaskets were kind of dirty when I took them off, but they're always kind of dirty. So I don't know. I think the real test will actually be to get this car on the road and go for a test drive. But I've been working on this video for over 2 weeks, so we're just going to end it here. If we run into any more problems, obviously we'll pick the camera back up and continue this. But I think for now we're good to go. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure. We will update you in a future video if anything else pops up. So yeah, that is it for the Corvette update for today. And hopefully this helped teach you to resolve some of your issues with your Corvette. We swapped car with mismatching parts. If you guys are doing V-bands, make sure you use the same V-band on both sides. I thought I could get away with it, and no, I was not able to. So we had to bust the welder out, cut and weld our new headers, well, new to me headers, and go from there. So kind of hinted that I may take those headers off and get them coated. Just not sure just yet. I want to go on a drive and make sure the car is good to go, and then we'll get those welded. We'll see. But yeah, so that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, and if you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below. I'll have links to the welder, the welding equipment, everything we've used there, what kind of gas we used, and also a link to those V-bands because I did get those on Amazon a long time ago. But yeah, make sure you check all that out. And also make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you can give there goes right back into the channel, these projects, the Corvette, the truck, and everything. So that's going to be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.